Hi, my name is Namitha, my pronouns are she, her, and today I'll be doing a poem about the intersection of Hinduism and queerness. It might not be known that pre-colonialism, queerness was highly accepted in South Asia, and today's poem will be about that. You tell me God hates gays, and I say, bitch, which one? You must have me mistaken because I am as queer as my gods are. This polytheism is an orgy that does not end but reincarnates. I am held by the sightings of a love that looks like mine that I have found with my own hands and in my own lovers. I learn of the Kuvagam festival, in which my people know the story of what it is like to sacrifice to experience love before death all too well. The Mahabharata tells us that Aravan, whose final wish as a soon-to-be sacrificed warrior was to die a married man, and Krishna transitions to Mohini to be wed to Aravan. When Aravan is sacrificed, Mohini grieves for her husband before transforming back to Krishna, and my trans sisters see themselves in their gods. They are shown their origin story birthed from the womb of a trans god. They are shown a story in which God herself tells them it is a trans woman who fulfills her God's wishes, that it is a trans woman that lets her God feel happiness before death. My Aravani sisters in this festival all marry Aravan, but must mourn him the next day like Mohini did. Adorn themselves in funeral clothing as white as their oppressors, they break bangles and pound chests to show how they grieve Aravan like Mohini did. I think this is God saying that even God is not good enough for a trans woman. Maybe she herself is more godly than them. My trans sisters are the protagonists of stories in which a trans woman is alive, is the hero, is the one who does not die. This is a story that does not sound like a transition turned trick. Shiva knows Mohini's true nature, that she is reincarnated into another body that is more affirming than the first one, that her transition is not all sexual but all holy. Shiva, attracted to Mohini, still spills his semen turned gold onto the rocks, and he knows this does not make him any less of a man. If anything, it makes him more man, more holy, more honest. We are shown transitions that do not ever end but reincarnate Ardhanarishvara, a body whose right half is male and left is female, is queer, is holy still. This Lord who is half woman still births acceptance, carries the union of these principles of all creation in their womb. Some say Ardhanarishvara is a symbol of Shiva's all-pervasive nature, and how is the god of destruction created visibilities for bodies that two feel like two halves instead of one whole, to be exactly what the world has not yet created space for. Shiva, god of destruction, destroys gender binaries by placing them in his own body. Hinduism does not keep a book to guide our manifestation of our religion, knows the power of oral that only the gods above can comprehend. The ones that exist are all queer in scripture. The Kama Sutra shows bodies not bound by heterosexuality, but by a love that is gay both in happiness and in queerness. So when you tell me God hates gays, you must not be speaking about mine, about any of mine. You have let your own colonialist reading infiltrate the holiness of my gods. Why not let God themselves tell you about their holiness? That queerness cannot be beat out of a body if it is omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, just like my gods. Thank you. Okay, this next poem is called Activism Love. Yeah. I learned in my social movements class that there is one personality trait that is often found among activists, that they are likely to be pessimistic about the leadership of others. Do not rely on others and instead take it upon themselves to change the world. I think this is why we fell for each other. Tired of being treated poorly by others, took it upon ourselves to love each other in the way we have known we have deserved our entire lives. Think I will not make the first move, but they leave their activism at the door before entering the home of my heart. I am making the first move. They teach me how to roll a joint and we smoke weed on their balcony. Let the grounded dried flowers and dried leaves and flower buds fall into the bend of the paper. I wonder if they wish to let their hand do the same to the small of my back. They do not realize I am asking for this with my eyes. They let their tongue glide across the paper and fold the paper over, and I follow suit. They light my joint and I inhale. They do not realize that I am telling them that my ex too filled my lungs with smoke, that I too am pessimistic, that they will do the same. Even when they ask every time before touching me, Even if they treat my body like a temple, they know they must always take their shoes off before entering. Wash the soles of their feet every day, even if they prayed yesterday. Even if they insist they haven't had to for other places of worship. I think they want to prove to me that despite those unwilling to lead by example, that they will stick around. I tell them I think they look good with a joint behind their ear. I don't tell them that I think this also means I think they tuck their emotions away all the same. I am pessimistic that I will ever break through, reach into the well of their love and be able to cup any water into my hands to drink. I look into the pools of their brown honey eyes, and I think that their irises are lined with a shark-infested moat. Each shark bears in its teeth the limb of a past lover, and I am doused in blood. We share the space on this balcony with the puffs of smoke and the elephant in the room. That we are both souls aching to be loved. We let the cannabis do the talking. Let us dream beyond our trauma. That maybe we are what we have always been looking for. That we will not wait on others for this activism. That this love is a political act that we are willing to protest on behalf of. Okay, so a content warning for this poem is alcoholism and family trauma. My father, devout Hindu, sits at an AA meeting like he is the god these worshippers came here to pray to. Like he is better than them. Like he did not seek solace at the bottom of a bottle too. He stumbles in and falls on his knees, and I do not know if it is for prayer or for forgiveness, or whether there is at all a difference. My father finishes a bottle and hoses down his sins at the foot of the shrine of a god who is not my mother. All the liquid courage in the world, and he is still a coward. He gambles away my tuition and slurs that I am lucky to have him as a father, that I will never have one better than him, and this insult hurts me the most, that I will never have one better than him. He does not do the steps, does not ask for my forgiveness. Maybe he knows it is too late in the night to be coming home, too late in my life to ask for his fatherhood back. That I am a clock that strikes 2:50, all arms outstretched and waiting for him to come home. But maybe sitting on a stool at the bar, letting his apologies be washed away by the beer and looking up at the clock, he believes he is home. When my mother hears me use the crowbar I save in the back of my throat only to speak about my father, she says I am being dramatic. When I tell my mother of my pain, she rivals me with hers, recalls the story of how she lost her father at the age of 5. It is her way of telling me she only ever wants to give me what she did not have. She tells me she always wanted a father. I tell her, me too. She tells me she just wants the best for me. I tell her, me too. I remind her that when a stranger broke into our home, shattering the window in the middle of our door with his closed fist, it was her and I that muddled through the broken glass. I tell her cleaning up another man's mess is something that feels all too familiar, and she says I am being dramatic. She says he is blood, and he is. And the crowbar in the back of her throat pries the nailed wooden crate, and it escapes what she means to say. She means to say he is blood on her hands. I tell my mother that she is wrong, that I am blood on his hands, that all of Neptune's ocean could not wash the blood off his hands. I tell my mother that being a victim is not a sin, and she does not choose to hear me. I tell my mother a father is not the man who makes you question if you are worthy of love. He is the one that proves it to you. My father, devout Hindu, believes in a father more than I do. Okay, sorry, quick outfit change, aka I can't keep my hair down and it needs to be up at all times. This next poem is called An Altar or an Apartment on Ossington Strip. I am at a service at which I do not know the churchgoers, which is to say I am at a party at which I do not know anyone else. I am introduced by my friend's friend to her friends, and each handshake and introduction feels like an offering. Gabriel finds out I am from Ottawa and says he thinks Ottawa is cool, to which I laugh uncontrollably and gutturally, which is to say he sings a hymn I have yet to hear. We sit perched by the window, and he tells me about his vivid dream about Ogre Shrek eating out human Fiona, and he imitates the sound of cunnilingus, and I tell him he could not say in fewer words that he is queer, and he laughs uncontrollably and gutturally, and I forget for a moment that we have just met. and I think that this is religion. I guess his sign accurately and immediately. I say Pisces, like it is his God-given name, and he says he knew I would get it right. I do not tell him. It is as if my mouth formed the words before my mind had thought of it, and I think that this is religion. We sip on the blood of Christ, which is to say we let wine dribble down our throats, and he tells me about a Tinder match. He's American, he says. So I asked him if he had a school nurse, or if he had a cafeteria lunch every day, or if he played kickball at recess, and it is as if between the breaths I hear him orgasming with each further inquiry about the unfaltering American identity of this man, and I think that this too is religion, wanting so badly to see something you already know is there. Gabriel tells me he has a tarot app on his phone, and he reads me my past, present, and future cards. He pushes up his glasses at the bridge with the side of his pointer finger and tells me that tarot is just a reflection of your current situation, that he isn't a psychic, that he is guiding me to the lake of my life but will not force me to drink the water. He reads me my present card and says it is one of the best cards he has ever read, that in this moment I am flourishing, and all I can think about is how he lied when he said he wasn't a psychic. I tell him I think the cards he is reading are about poetry, that the last time I had my tarot read, I thought they were about poetry too, and he says that if it is at the forefront of my mind, then it must be. And I feel as though with each confession I have stripped down to fewer and fewer pieces of clothing until I am stark naked in the middle of this apartment on Ossington Strip. It is poetry that I met Gabriel at the same day and at the same party I would have otherwise seen my abuser had he not visited his parents in BC this exact and otherwise ordinary weekend, and I cannot believe deeper into something that is bigger than myself in this exact moment. My mouth is a museum for my teeth the way they are on display. It is as if Gabriel is a priest or a churchgoer. Maybe he is a confession box and all I speak with my laughter. Maybe he is a reminder that there are good men out there, men that will not demand my body and give me trauma in return. Gabriel leaves the party and wraps his arms around me before he leaves. Behind him, on the coffee table, there are 9 red solo cups. 9 of cups. I know that this is religion. This next poem is a little spicy, and it's called Piano Fingers. Piano fingers, how I love the way you play me. The way your fingers touch all the right keys, sustained notes reverberate inside. The way you look up at me when you know you are sight reading a new piece and I am applauding with my open mouth. You are crafting a sonata when you play me and know which chord will make my back arch, which will leave me with a desert mouth praying for a rainfall to satisfy this dry season. You mad artist. You scratch at the page, crossing out old bars that no longer fit in this song and filling in empty bars with notes that sit right with a leaky pen, and I am not afraid to be covered in ink. You make a masterpiece of my body, and it is the instrument you know how to play best. This traveling show does not have an audience, but it is a full house. You bring me to the bathroom counter and keep the mirror facing you so you can practice your fingering for this new piece. See the reaction of the crowd in the reflection. See your own reaction in the reflection. You know the melody so well you begin to sing it as you play. You mouth the words with me. This duet has always been a duet. Even when we have been played by other hands, by other lovers, by other instruments. But now, with you, every night is opening night. But the song is always different. But the reaction is always the same. An encore. Okay, last poem. I think, honestly, I've not written a lot of new shit. The first poem I performed was new, and this one I consider new, like, post-pandemic. Or post the start of the pandemic, and I think that this poem was one of the first ones I wrote during the pandemic, and I think it meant a lot to me, so I hope that sharing it with you elicits similar emotions. It's called I Asked the Moon for a Sign, and I think she tells me not to kill myself, so content warning for suicide. I have state-sanctioned agoraphobia, and today I am applauded for my upstanding citizenry because of it. There is no need for a medal when I am weighed down by my suicidality. Instead, today, I dress up for no one, not even myself. I wear high heels when I walk to the mailbox, and I let the heartbeat of these steps guide my breathing instead of the breathing machine in my chest, and today I do not kill myself. I paint myself in Fenty and do not let myself look in the mirror until I have washed my face clean, and tonight I do not kill myself. I buy myself a magic wand, and the only pressure I put on myself is to finish myself, and I think that this is healing. I sit out on my roof and do not let myself look off the edge of it. I let my partner know that I am taking out my headphones to listen to the silence of the suburbs, and I stare out at the moon. For once, I let this white woman tell me what to do. My tears cloud the night sky, and I want to ask her what the fuck is in retrograde, but I don't think I can afford the long-distance call, so instead I listen. I listen to this astronomical body's stability in the night sky and the way she plays the starring role among stars. She is so full of herself, and she steals from me the memory of why to be so was ever an insult. I let her drink my tears and use them as rain for someone else's oppressors. I let myself feel the cold on this roof because I think it is better to let myself feel something at all, and I just want to hold the moon in my belly, be full of her too. But I think she is telling me to be full of myself instead. I remember that every other planet names its moons, and to us she is just the moon. I used to think this was a compliment, but maybe it is a disservice to her labor. The way she kneads the water's waves tirelessly, and we still do not gift her a name. Let the unpaid labor of this woman go without praise no longer. I want to name her after every woman that ever made sure I did not go hungry, fed me food, fed me knowledge, fed me perseverance for this life. This celestial body has given me life again, and how do I thank her but every night gazing at her glory on my roof? I ask the moon for a sign, and I think she tells me I am worthy of admiration too. That maybe there's a small girl looking up at me on stage the way I stare up at my celestial goddess. She says that it is a lie that there is a man on the moon, but the moon in all of us. She reminds us that our youthful selves were not foolish to think she followed us in our cars racing down the highway. She is always with us. And instead of wanting to join her in the sky or in the dirt when she leaves us for the other half of the world, I think I'll stay here, on this roof, in this body, a little while longer. Thank you.